Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
And I'm Dave Piontkowski.
Dave is new to Keith and the Girl. Good to see you. Glad you can be part of this.
Glad I could
Um,
be here, Keith.
Let me begin. Let's get into it right away. You have a new comedy creation, Three Kidneys, No Colon, it's called. Three
Yes,
Kidneys,
that
No Colon. And the name says it all. How you feeling?
honestly, Keith, I feel the best I've ever felt. It's that the show title chronicles my life when I was unhealthy, when I had to have major operations. I had to obviously have a colon removed. I had to have an additional kidney added to my body. So a lot of things happened where I was not really healthy. And now I've been on a huge health kick coming off of that, where, I want to do everything in my power to keep this kidney alive and keep myself in as good a shape as possible. So like I go to the gym as much as I can, and I try to stay as clean diet wise as I can, and I just do my best every day. And I feel like I'm the healthiest I've ever
Okay, so I do want to get into this, and I'll try not to vomit. You have
been.
ulcerative colitis and chronic kidney disease. What is colitis? Is that when you shit in your insides? What is that?
Well, I'm more shit on my outsides, because if you
Okay.
saw the amount of shit on my outside, I mean, when ulcerative colitis, when I was at the peak with this illness and I had severe ulcerative colitis, I was shitting, I would say upwards of 15 times a day.
Wow.
Yeah, just a crazy amount of fecal matter. And sometimes you go to the bathroom, not much even comes out, but you always have the feeling like you have to go to the bathroom, and you don't really know if it's going to be a little bit or a lot or what it's going to be. But all you know is whatever you're doing, drop everything and take care of this. And imagine that feeling. I'm sure you've gotten it in your life. Imagine that 15 times a day.
But is it like these commercials for medicine that we see where like it's scary to ride a horse? You taking the subway, you don't know when the next stop is gonna be fast enough. Is it that harrowing?
I do like the commercial dramatization of the the illness.
Right.
Though my favorite is there was this commercial where they would show someone looking at a bathroom longingly, and then everything else in the room disappears but the bathroom. And I'm like,
Right.
that one's relatable, because whenever you have these kind of issues, you're constantly on alert for a bathroom. I guess the way like someone who is like a soldier would look for the exits in a
Hmm.
bar, I look for the bathrooms in a bar.
You look
Exits
for
too, but
you look for the bathrooms before you even look at the menu, right?
yeah, I look at the bathroom before I look at the menu. I actually say that line in my show.
Right.
I have such a history of it that like I can recognize toilets in New York City just based on like, oh, I didn't know this. I was in this restaurant before, but I know I have because of this toilet. I've definitely crapped on this toilet before.
What is the colon and how is it different than the ass pipe?
When you talk about like your rectum, the colon is basically like the Hershey highway right before the shit kind of
Okay.
comes out of your butthole. So it's basically like large intestine colon. It's like if your turds are on a road, it's the last stop before they leave your body.
Why is it important? You're still able to shit, or does it
Absolutely.
hold it in nice?
Well, it does hold it in nice. There's so many things your colon does. Like I get so dehydrated now without a colon. I mean, I can't bottom. Anal sex is out. So that I wasn't something I was into before, but if I was, it would be a real problem.
I see. Well, it
And
worked out. Are you straight and it worked out?
uh, I'm straight, so it worked out, but I feel for anyone who suffers from this issue
Right.
that is not. But I'm in a situation where I'm fortunate in that the surgery was a successful surgery. There are people who have gone through the surgery and it's not successful, and they have a permanent ileostomy bag where they have to like a secondary asshole right on the front of their
Mm,
body.
right.
Yeah. And I had that for a few months. If that's
Oh
part of
yeah.
the surgery. Yeah, that's a part of the surgery. You have to have a temporary ostomy bag
For how
on the
long?
front. For me, it was about 3 months. I've had for other friends that I've met who've had it for double, triple that amount of time. And I even know a few people who have permanent ostomy bags.
Did would you ever like? Would you hang out with a friend sometimes and we're talking, and then all of a sudden I see it in your eyes that you're shitting in front of me?
Oh, that's interesting. When you're talking about like when I had the ostomy bag.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I had the ostomy bag, you don't know you're shitting other than the ostomy bag. You start to feel like the heat of the shit on your leg. Because
Okay.
like it's not like if normally you're sitting on the toilet and you're like, I can feel this coming out of my body. It just comes out randomly. So you'll just be in a conversation, then all of a sudden it just gets warm around like for me it was my right leg. Like so like my top of my right thigh. I'm like, well, it's getting warmer. I bet there's shit coming out.
Right.
And then you can kind of feel like the bag getting a little bigger and bigger. And I was so anxious when I had it that if I felt any bit of it going from small to medium, I would just go to a bathroom and alleviate whatever was inside. Because I was so nervous about the bag exploding, especially in like a public
Right.
place. So I was very anxious and would be constantly emptying it. And I'm sure you get comfortable with it after, X amount of months or years, but just
That's,
I never got comfortable.
I wouldn't think. The Do you still have like a side asshole, or does it close up like an earring?
I close up like an hearing. I've never heard of the like an hearing, but I like that, Keith. But yeah, I guess it closes up like an hearing. I mean, what they do is it's a multi-part or multi-fart surgery where they basically like close up where the second asshole is
Right.
and they reconnect your small intestine to your asshole through what's called a J pouch, which is the name of the surgery. It's called J pouch
Okay.
surgery. And that's what replaces your colon. But instead of having a long colon, I mean, I have maybe 6 inches of room there, so I can't even handle a finger in my butt, Keith.
Oh,
This is,
buddy.
these, and also I do still defecate more than the average person, but it's maybe
You
like,
do what? Sorry, you what?
I still shit more than the
Okay.
average person,
Okay.
but I would say it's like maybe 4 times a day. It's much more manageable.
Do you ever have nightmares about it? Like literally you're in bed, you're sleeping, you wake up realizing, oh, I just dreamt that I wasn't focusing on the regular asshole, I was focused on my old side asshole and all the shit's going to the side. You ever freak yourself out sleeping, dreaming?
I think when I had it, and maybe the weeks after I got rid of it, I think there was like a little PTSD from it. I don't think I've had anything like that recently, but I've definitely had, you know, I was so paranoid with it. I had incidents where it would open up, explode, and like I'd have shit all over my bed.
In real
So,
Oh, at night. Oh, like
and
that really
yeah,
happens. Wow.
the nightmare would be like, oh my God, what if that's the case? And I'd wake myself up and it would be fine most times after that, but I was so paranoid I'd have trouble sleeping. So yeah, I guess in a way those are nightmares that were somewhat based on reality.
And this was like 2 years ago, 2.5.
Oh no, that was the kidney transplant. The colitis, the surgery for that was like close to 10 years ago.
Okay. Can you toss and turn in your sleep now, or are you still paranoid about it? Like, do you lay there like a vampire?
No, I can turn to the side, but what I've noticed, I was actually talking with my friend, another comic, Christos, about he noticed that I had like shaking on like my hand. And I said, yes, I was telling him how I sleep and I sleep on my side. And we realized the way I was sleeping, I was like crushing
Mm,
my kind of arm and causing like this
tingling.
numbness in my
Right.
like my fingers. And he's like, well, why don't you sleep like just straight up on your back, which I can do. And ever since I did that, I've alleviated that problem. So now I do kind of sleep vampire style, like straight back if I can.
How do you know to get, so these are separate things. The kidney disease and the colitis are unrelated, or are they
They're
related?
both
Because
they're both autoimmune diseases, so I would say that's their relation. And then when I had the kidney disease before I had colitis, so they were using some of the meds that worked for the kidneys on the colitis and to manage the ulcerative colitis.
do they tell you, do they know you have both at the same time?
Oh yeah, of course. Of course the doctors know. The thing that I was fortunate about was the kidney disease hit me as a teenager. We were able to get the kidney disease under control within a year or two. So by the time the colitis hit in my early 20s, the kidneys were manageable. Like they had a proper dose
Mhm.
of medication where they continued to decline, but it wasn't like a rapid decline. It was like you got at least, 10 years with these. Yeah, you'll be fine. And they didn't give me a timeline. I'm just saying it ended up the kidneys didn't fail till like my mid 30s.
Were you in pain? Were you weak? How did you know to get it checked out? I go to the doctor. They're like, all right, what other than a regular checkup, what should we look at? And I'm like, every fucking thing. I don't know. Everything.
Yeah, I mean, you're more open. Some people are more paranoid and avoid the doctor. So I like your openness, Keith. I'm in the same mindset. Something's wrong with me, tell me. But I remember the initial concern. My uncle is or he passed away, but he was a physical therapist, and I went to his office in Long Island. I remember he gave me an exam, and he would touch like my back around the kidneys, and I had some pain. Remember that
Okay.
was like the beginning notion, like something might be an issue. And then one day I woke up and my legs were swollen. Like I was a skinny kid, and my legs looked like they belonged to like a 300-pound plus person. So that's when you knew there was a real problem. And that's when I went to the hospital in Long Island. And I mean, it was a children's hospital. I was 15 years old. And they didn't really know what was wrong with me for the first few weeks and months. And, eventually figured out it was a membranous nephropathy, chronic kidney disease. And then just the next, I think it was at least a year, just trying different medications to kind of alleviate that issue.
Who
But
do you,
yeah, when you look down and see your legs, big fat legs, there's a problem.
I see. Who do you blame for this? Your mom, your dad?
I blame relatives that I never met, like distant relatives on my father's side. I think they fucked their brothers and sisters and cousins. A lot of incest went on, especially like Eastern European Jews, very high rate of autoimmune issues. And it's all across my father's side of my
Huh.
family. My uncle had a ton of autoimmune issues. Other members of our immediate family, ton of autoimmune issues. And I think there was just a ton of incest. And if I could go back in time, like Back to the Future style, get in the
Right.
DeLorean, I'd stop my cousins and my brother, like my great great grandfather from like fucking his sister. I would be like, dude, get out, stop, don't
Right.
even do it. But then maybe I wouldn't exist.
Do your parents have health issues?
My dad had a stroke, and my mother had like a cancer scare. But I would say more on my father's side is my uncle had a ton of health issues, and he passed away, but he battled through for a long time. He dealt with a ton of autoimmune issues.
How old are you now?
I'm 37.
So what took so long did they not know if you would need a third kidney from somebody?
No, they knew, okay, my kidneys are declining, but slowly from age 15. So they have it under control, but let's say every year they're getting a little worse, a little worse. And then they're monitoring it. And then by like 2019, they're like, all right, we have to intervene. We're going to give you this medicine. And they gave me rituximab, and it didn't work. I had a bad reaction to it, and it ended up causing my kidneys to fail, and I ended up on the kidney transplant list in early 2020. And then, yeah, so that's when I needed a new kidney. I got on a transplant list, and I spent about 2+ years on that list. Which is short, depending how you look at it. For
Mhm.
me, it felt like a very long time.
Sure. Do you know whose kidney you got? Is the person alive?
So the person died. I don't know. I don't even know how they died. I actually wanted to write them a letter, and Columbia Presbyterian, the hospital that I worked with, said no one's ever asked that. But I
That's
know that
rude.
they were, yeah, well, they're dead, but they told me some, basic information like, oh, it was a healthy kidney. They're in their mid-20s. And I thought, wow, somebody died and they're under 30. That must be tragic. They must have parents or immediate family. And
Mhm.
wouldn't that be great if they got a letter from someone whose life was saved from their relative who passed away?
So I don't know if this is a dumb question. They died and then you got the kidney?
Yeah, they
Okay.
died, and then they have two kidneys, so someone else got the other one, but I don't know anything about the death. I have theories, but I don't know anything about like the death or how it happened.
What's a theory?
All right, so I got the kidney on July 11th, 2022. That's
Okay.
about a week after the 4th of July. So I like to think that they took like an M80 and just, ooh, just the organs were intact. So,
Right.
I'd like to think they went out with a bang.
Right. And so when you see, these reports after July 4th in the paper, it could be good news.
It could be a positive. Yeah, you see that and you're like, that's so stupid. That's sad. And I see that. And I think that could be a life-saving organ for
And it's
someone.
going to a smarter person too. So it works out.
Yeah, I don't touch fireworks. The only fireworks I mess with are when I see them at like 4th of July or at Disney World or something like that. It's not something I go out of my way for.
Are you did do hospitals give that information, or doctors, if you're curious, to write the family a letter? Would you be able to?
Columbia did not. I mean, I think it was one of those things where I could have maybe pressed them more about it, but
Right.
the second I got resistance, I just said it's not worth
Sure.
it. And I spoke to a friend of mine recently, this guy, Dr. Judd, he's a comedian as well, and he told me, yeah, they don't like to be bothered. Medical people, like what they like, we got you a kidney, we're good. Like we,
Right. Don't push it.
yeah, don't push it. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, that's true. They got me a kidney.
Yeah, I don't know if I would reach out to the family, but if I was the family, I'd reach out to you and be like, "It's going pretty good, right? Huh? Okay,
Yeah. I don't even know if
okay.
they know. The person, I think they were like 26. So think of how, I'm just thinking, I had to bury a friend yesterday. I went to a
Hmm,
funeral for a friend who was 30, and that was just so tragic. And so I can only imagine 26. How could they have died in a way where, it was like, but I just feel like if I was the family, I would like to get that letter, but
right.
that's, whatever.
Can I ask how your friend passed away?
Yeah,
Young's always interesting.
yeah, my friend Daihachi, he took his own life.
Mm,
I don't know how detailed you want me to get with how he did it, but
up to you. I'm
yeah,
curious.
he hung himself.
Mm,
And yeah, it was someone I met through my friend Tony. We were all hanging out just in the summer, right before I went to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in August. And I remember he was really excited to see my show, and he was texting me like, "Yeah, let me know about the next one." And then my our mutual friend Tony came over, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna come out and say it." And he told us the news, and yeah, I just went to the funeral yesterday, so it's been heavy on my mind.
sure. Do you, hopefully, you know better than this, but did you have guilt? Like, I'm a friend and I didn't see nothing?
I'm gonna say no with this person because I wasn't as close as our mutual friend.
Right,
So, we hung out a few times. We were definitely friends, but it wasn't like I wasn't reaching out to him without my mutual friend involved. It was always like if we made plans, it was hanging out as a group. So I didn't feel I was, if we have like the friendship ladder, I wasn't at the
right.
level of like having that kind of
And to be
conversation
clear,
where,
even the third friend, it's I don't think you can see it coming from people. So hopefully there's no guilt on him either, is my point.
yeah, I mean, there's always some signs, but it's like, you know, what can you do? Sometimes people are going to do what they're going to do, and it wasn't the first person I lost young, and I hope it's the last. But I'm around comedians and entertainment people, so
Do you
you
find
know,
yourself checking if everybody's okay all the time? They're like, yeah, we're fine.
can I be honest with you? I want to be that person, but I've dealt with such a nightmare health situation that I kind of had to do so much positivity for myself that I almost I can't handle getting the constant calls of like I'm gonna end things. Like I've dealt with too much negativity and too much darkness in my life, and bringing that
There's
into my life is just freaks me out.
I also don't think they'd answer. I'm thinking of more than one situation where I'd see somebody right on that I know and somebody right on social media, like, make sure you check in with people that are depressed or suicidal. It's tough out there and blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, I know you're bipolar and you're going through a lot. And I go, hey, how things going? I'm fine. It's not like that. And I'm like, okay. All right, so I stopped doing that. It's like, okay, you're throwing it out there, I don't know, for attention, but then I check and it's like, no, not that. Well, I get it. You don't want to talk about it, and I hope you're telling the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I had a friend where he was going through something like that, and he wasn't reaching out to me, but he's reaching out to a mutual friend. And the way my friend said it to me, because I said, "Oh, I want to reach out," and he said, "I don't think you do, because right now when he calls me, I feel like if I miss the call, he's gonna do something." And it
Right.
puts this burden on you as a friend where like you feel like if you don't take that call, they're going to do something and you're responsible for it. So it puts you in a very tough situation. And if anyone, I know what I did to help myself. And if anyone wants to reach out, like, DM me on Instagram, I will get back to you at Dave P Comedy. But like, I'm not the guy who's going to pick up the phone every 2 seconds you're having like a breakdown. I'm going to tell you, go talk to someone, go get some help. go, do whatever you need to do to get yourself better. But I'm not going to be the guy to pull you out of this. I hope maybe my comedy will. Maybe you laugh at like, some of my, like whenever I put the special
It's
out or you
literally
come
the
to a
best
show.
medicine, they say, right?
Oh, it's been so cathartic. I just the last show I did last week, I did a show and I had a guy come to the show and he had no colon and one kidney.
Mm.
And those people, when they talk to you after the show, it's like they feel seen. They feel like, wow, this is great. You're talking about this horrible, horrible thing and this traumatic thing, and they can relate to it. And the trauma bonding is incredible.
Do you feel guilty like this guy has one kidney? I got three.
Oh, no. I just look at it like in the game of life, we were dealt bad hands.
Right.
So in this person's situation, they had cancer. That's a bad hand. Now, me, I was dealt a bad hand. I had chronic kidney disease and colitis. So it's just about, I think, how do you play your cards? I'm making these poker analogies, but I'm
Right.
just saying it's you can't control what those things, especially when it happens young. Like
Sure.
this person, also similar to me, had a disease at a young age, and especially if you're under 18 and you get an illness, that is really tough.
Right. Speaking of cards, you guys have to flush a lot. I understand. What's the
We have royal flush.
what's the
I
biggest accident you had?
Oh, I talk about it in the show. It's yeah, I crap myself playing craps in Las Vegas. That was
Really?
pretty bad.
Because you were
Yeah.
on a roll. Was it a surprise or no pun? You were on a roll, so you didn't want to leave.
I was on a roll, sorry, I didn't want to leave.
Wow.
And yeah, it's basically like a big chunk of the show of me describing that experience of like I'm winning, but I'm losing. And it's like
I was this was just yesterday. I'm on the subway here in New York, and a woman, and it's like 6 p.m. Everybody's getting off work. Everybody's looking dressed nice enough. I happen to be leaving the financial district, and this woman's standing ready to dress nice, ready to looks like ready for the doors to open, and I see just piss is running down both legs from her skirt, and I'm looking for like a water bottle. I'll tell her, but no, you can tell where it's coming from, and it's like cascading, rain going down steps. And as soon as the doors opened, she got off. Have you been in a situation like that?
yes, I've piss and shit.
Damn.
And um usually it's in a situation where when it
Anybody
has
ever
happened
tell
to
you?
me,
Do they tell you, and you're like, I know, just don't look over here.
no, I think the way I especially used to dress like years ago, I dressed like kind of a piece of shit. So people would see like, a little bit of piss on me or maybe smell shit and be like, all right, this guy already looks like he's homeless. So,
Right.
kind of works. But, that's just I think based on my style was like I used to actually like buy underwear with the intention of like I can't buy nice underwear because I'm probably gonna shit my pants and I would hate to ruin a $25+ pair of underwear. So I better buy the cheapo stuff.
When you get a colon removed and later you get a kidney added, do you feel it? Do you feel I have AirPods. If the air those are just so light, but if the AirPods aren't in the case is lighter. I can feel it. Do you feel your body different at the time?
I mean, you notice things about your body that are different. I notice like it's louder when I move my bowels since I got rid of the colon.
Okay,
I guess it's like kind of noise cancellation for your insides that
right.
you kind of lose. So that was the thing I was very self-conscious about, especially like the first time post-surgery when I'd have like a girl over and I'd be like, oh, they're gonna hear me and it's gonna be weird. But everyone's been very cool.
Right. Well, what are we gonna say?
Yeah, of
It's a
course. But
tuba.
in
It's
terms of
funny.
like But yeah, in terms of like the feel, I mean, when I got the new kidney, I definitely felt like when I press against that area, I definitely would feel um it felt a little stiffer, but I wouldn't say a significant difference. It was very like I wouldn't say like if I press down, I'm like, oh, I'm definitely touching my kidney. It just felt like, oh, this is my stomach now.
Did you have suicidal thoughts during the worst of it?
I remember one of the darkest days was when I started dialysis. And dialysis, they put this giant like catheter in your neck, and then so it's like you have this like long little dildo thing sticking out, and then that's how you basically live. Is you have to go to dialysis center like 3 days a week for like 3 hours each day. And I remember the first day I walked in there seeing like a rotting foot poster on the wall and these like people who are all decrepit and dying around me, and it was so depressing. And then the intake nurse like even asked me, she's like, "Do you have suicidal thoughts?" And I said, "Not until today. Today's
Right.
been pretty rough." So, and then preceding days of dialysis were really rough, but I just remained optimistic. But yeah, that dialysis center, it's a depressing place.
Let's say somebody does DM you and they go, "Hey, I'm having these suicidal thoughts. You said I can DM you." What would you rate back? How did you get through it personally?
I would say you have to look at every situation as this is temporary. So whatever you're going through, I have friends and family who have been on the transplant list for triple the time I've been on it, and eventually did get kidneys. I have a my accountant has a family member who he needed two kidneys, so he had to wait a long time, but he did eventually get them. And I think it's remaining optimistic despite what's going on, and feeling that you will survive this, you will get through this, and there will be a light at the end of the tunnel. Because if you start to spin out too much into the present moment darkness, that will absorb you. And you have to just focus that this is temporary. This is going to be the next few weeks or months or whatever it may be, but you're going to get through this.
Do you get nervous about long periods of time? Am I making you nervous right now? Can you go to the movies?
I'm fine because I know how to control it.
Okay.
I control. I didn't eat before this interview because I knew that I might have an issue. But if I know, like if I know I'm going to do an hour set, I make sure to either move my bowels or eat or much earlier and take care of things. So I have strategies, and also what I eat also is very important.
Okay. I'm not hearing farting now, am I?
No, you actually, when you have your colon removed, and it's like 50-50 if you're going to shart or fart.
Okay.
So you kind of get disciplined into kind of swallowing a lot of your farts. So, and then when you eventually go to the bathroom, you can alleviate that. But it's one of those things where like I carry Gas X with me and things like that to do like a kind of fart
Right.
suppressant. But when I am out in public, I'm even privately, I'm nervous to fart because I'm like, I think there's a good chance I might have an accident.
Right. All right. Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have a older brother, 6 years older.
Do you mind me asking, does he have health issues that you guys are comparing things or no? You
Not
got them all.
really. Not really. I mean, he's a bigger guy than me, but he doesn't have any major illnesses like I have. And we were out to dinner just a few nights ago, and I remember saying to him, "Hey, get yourself checked out because it runs in the family.
Right.
And, even though you're fine now, keep getting checked out because you never know."
Yeah. I'm gonna ask my doctor about all this shit you have. You know, how would I know? A California, tell me what you think of this. I mean, I can only imagine what you think. A California educator, not named, but this mom wrote this story on Twitter or X, has been accused of cruelty after awarding bonus points to students who don't take a bathroom break during class.
I hate this.
I hate it, right?
I hate it. The whole also bonus points. Okay, does that matter in the scheme of life? Bonus points. I
Right.
remember, like, oh,
Right.
they're gonna get a check plus instead of a check. Kids, it doesn't matter. It's not gonna unless you're trying to be like some Ivy League valedictorian, like top of your class. It doesn't matter in the scheme of things. You're gonna end up in the same place in life as you would without the bonus points. So go to the bathroom. When you go to the bathroom, take long bathroom trips in this guy's class.
Right. Right. Try to time it with friends to meet up. Uh,
Yeah, smoke a cigarette. Well, don't do that.
I
That's
didn't even like in my school when I'd go, can I go to the bathroom? And the teacher would go, I don't know, can you? And I'm like, sounds like a trick. Yes, I can. No, sit down. It's may I. I'm like, okay, you're a math teacher, first of all, but all right. A peeved parent
yeah.
of one of the pupils leaked the bizarre bathroom rule in a post that has clocked up to 16 million views on X. Quote, my daughter's math teacher has a rule that they only get one bathroom pass per week. Well, you're writing this down? Or you get a at the beginning of the week, everybody pick up your pass. If you don't use it, you get academic extra credit. I would like to think they're rollover passes, personally. I'd save them up. This mom said, I'm livid, but my daughter is mad at me that I want to email the teacher and CC the principal. Am I wrong here? She asked. Yeah, don't give me more attention, but you tell the principal anonymously. But
I
yeah, this
mean,
is such a no pun asshole move.
no, I mean, that's so ridiculous. And you know what? Congrats to this teacher not having IBS or Crohn's or colitis or
Right.
any issues. You know what? That's fine. I'm happy for you. But you gotta be sensitive to other people's situations. And even people who don't have illnesses, maybe they just had the wrong thing for breakfast. And maybe the timing just worked out where they're in your class. And would you rather have someone take a shit in your class or you'd rather
Right.
have them leave?
Right.
I would
Uh,
actually protest by shitting myself in the class. I
we
would
all
just shit
shit.
my, I just, yeah, everybody shits their pants. And
And
then
then
the whole class smells so bad, he has to stop. And we're like, where's your extra credit now?
I'd like to turn in my passes for points now, please.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, can I use my my bonus credit on wiping my ass?
I see here one hard on rates. Extra credit is exactly that. It's extra. That bathroom rule isn't harming anyone's grade because nobody should be reliant on a few points just to make up a grade. Try being a teacher for one day and come up with a better solution for managing chronic bathroom visit abusers. How bad does it get? I made up I had to go to the bathroom to meet a girl for 5 minutes in the hallways. Who cares? You
You
know if I'm abusing it,
because
and you'll stop me if I'm abusing it. Who gives a shit? No pun.
yeah,
Not a no pun.
that's good. No, I mean you can pun all you want, man. Add the puns. I don't care. But it's straight up, it's to make that a widespread rule for the whole class and incentivize holding it in. I mean, it does feel good to hold it in to some people. So,
Right.
some people, I mean, obviously, but besides those weirdos, I think I think you really are doing a disservice to people.
I have to go to the bathroom. Let me check. Keith, you already took a piss this week. Like, oh, that's what I need. You tell reminding everybody how often I do go to the bathroom. All right.
That chart is creepy. Let's talk about the
Yeah.
tracking system is creepy. Okay. What do you got? An Excel sheet and you're like got everybody's name and like, hey, you were Tuesday, you already took your toilet
All right.
time. So this is Thursday. I don't you're gonna have to ease up.
You come back in the class from break and she writes it down like, oh, 6 minutes, 15 seconds. Okay.
Yeah.
Cut. Leave me out of it. Leave me out of it.
Yeah. Where I guess you really don't care about math.
Right. All right, let's get to some news stories. Obviously, I want you to be part of this. And you know what? We started heavy. Let's keep it heavy.
I
Sean
like
did
that they're all shit themed.
right. Right. Well,
That,
this one goes with this piece of shit. Sean Diddy Combs. So we understand he drugged these women, raped these women. Another way that I'm learning that he drugged them is remember he was busted with like no exaggeration 1,000 giant pump jars of lube. Well, it's
baby
like
oil.
right, and it's like well, we already have 500, Mr. Diddy. Like not enough, not enough. I have a big party this weekend.
Did
We
you
need
hear his lawyer blame Costco
for
for the
allowing him
baby
that
oil? No, they said, oh, well, he lives a block away from a Costco. He probably just bought in bulk all that baby oil. And then
1,000.
Costco released a statement that they don't sell baby oil.
And then we also, if we did, we wouldn't sell 1,000 at a time. We put 3 packs of razors together. We don't sell 1,000 at a time. But he would drug the lube. The lube was drugged, and he'd put that on you without. He'd force it on you, and that's another
I
way you can get this that rape shit, the rape drug in your system. It'll go through the oil will activate it, and it goes inside you.
You would put something into the lube and
Yeah,
then lube up assholes, and I'm assuming assholes, and then that's wow. I mean, anal penetration is the fastest absorption. That's one of the problems with no colon. I can't boof a beer, you know? It's like
Right. There's so many things you can't do. Sorry, buddy.
I'm limited.
You never wanted to do it until you can't do it.
I know you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Sean Diddy Combs doused the woman with lubricant that was mixed with a date rape drug before he viciously assaulted her alongside his boyfriend and alongside his boyfriend and a third friend, the accuser's attorney claims. The unnamed victim was allegedly forced to remove her clothes when Combs threatened her with a knife. The mogul squirted the woman, quote, all over her body with some type of lubricant or oil, after which she noticed herself becoming more and more limp. Jesus Christ. And then they raped her. The details are graphic, and the complaint lays out all the details. She was finally able to get away after the gruesome attack. Last week, more than 120 victims announced plans to file lawsuits against the Bad Boys record founder for sexual abuse and exploitation. The tidal wave of complaints were split evenly by gender and spanned over 30 years and included 25 minors, one being 9 years old.
Yeah.
It's over, right?
I mean, I don't know how you come back from that and let, I
Especially
mean,
after especially after we saw the video. We know this guy is a bad boy. That's
I didn't
what.
see the vid.
Oh
I
my
didn't see the
God.
vid. Which is there's a video?
Yeah, there's a video out of, and that's what stopped him from getting bail, I believe. Video out where he's in a hotel room and he viciously beats the shit out of a woman.
I saw that. Okay,
Okay.
there's a new tape that some comics were talking about last night that they said it was him having sex with like someone that's more famous than him, and they
But
don't
but but it's
know.
but it seems like nobody's seen it, that one. So I don't think your friend saw that tape.
No, they
But
didn't
I've
see it.
heard
They
of
were
that.
just we were talking about who it could possibly be, Justin Bieber. So we were thinking about, but yeah, I saw the one where he was really vicious at the hotel where he threw the woman.
Kicked her
But
head like a soccer ball, yeah.
there have been NFL players who've done comparable things, and they didn't have this much, kind of time in prison and
Right.
these many accusations. But you add in when it gets to three figures worth of accusations, and it's also involving minors. I mean, how do you deny it? Because I do have friends, when one or two people get start accusing him, they're like, well, do we believe all women and that kind of thing?
Right.
And my thing is like, well, when it gets past 100, I think you got to start believing.
Yes, right. Right. That's the line. The
Yeah, I
children
said it at
comes
99. It's a high bar. I know
the
most people said at like two.
right.
I go 99 or higher.
You get into 90, I round up. The,
Yeah, it's just, it's all relative, right?
the children Combs allegedly abused were, quote, seeking TV or music careers with promises of I'll make you a star. The accusations will implicate many powerful people. He is giving the lawyer saying, I'm giving some A-listers a chance to pay up to the victims before the cases go public. Supposedly, some celebrities have already opted to settle. This is what the lawyer's saying. You think there's going to be a list or everybody's going to pay it off? Like, there's got to be
No,
some women that aren't going to take the pay. It's
it's
is this going to be
also,
mind blowing?
I mean, Jeffrey Epstein thing, his whole thing was pretty
But
mind-blowing.
we never got
And
we never got a celebrity list.
you got the flight list.
You got the flight list, but you can tell yourself that I don't know, it was a private island and the weather was so beautiful you wanted to go 34 times, Bill Gates.
Yeah, I mean, at 37, 37. Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you 37 times. You're going there, you are not Microsoft. You are
Right.
definitely rock hard and doing something.
I
And he
haven't
got
been
a
to Hawaii
divorce.
37 times, you know?
He got a divorce right after all that came out. So, I
Right.
mean, I put the pieces together
Combs
for
and his
all the
legal
money.
right. Combs and his legal team have repeatedly denied the allegations against them. Right. It's just you also denied that you beat up and raped that woman, and then the tape came out. So oh, okay. One time I made a mistake, and you happened to see it, and I happened to lie all about it, and it happened to be everything in that tape is everything she said happened before. Anyways, though, and it's funny when you say like blaming Costco that his lawyers are blaming weird shit. Sean Diddy Combs on Wednesday accused the feds of leaking that tape, the 2016 footage. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, it's who
Sorry,
cares?
those aren't the rules. They're not allowed to do that. Thank God they did it. I'm glad they did it.
That
You
was like, yeah, that was a controversy with Cosby, where like the feds ended up leaking what he said privately, and they decided to open that case up, and that led to him eventually going to jail.
The feds of leaking the footage. It showed the disgraced hip hop mogul brutally beating his then girlfriend Cassie Ventura in a hotel hallway. Combs's legal camp claimed in a new filing that Department of Homeland Security agents undermined the Bad Boys record founder for 7 months leading up to his bombshell indictment on sex trafficking and racketeering charges. Okay, I don't give a fuck who leaked it. Good. It was obtained by CNN in May. Defense lawyers allege that the government was the only entity that could have been the source of the damning disclosure. Okay. The videotape was leaked. Quote, the videotape was leaked to CNN for one reason alone, to mortally wound the reputation. Yeah, no shit. And the prospect of Sean Combs successfully defending himself against these allegations. Okay. It's there. Can you imagine you're talking to friends or family and your defense is they shouldn't even be allowed to show that tape. Well, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Rules
yeah.
are
I
rules. We
mean,
have rules for a reason. Good point, Sean.
it's tough to say that that's not right after I think a few minutes ago you mentioned him putting drugged
Yeah.
lubricant and then threatening a woman with a knife. And it's like, all right, I think on the scale of things, what you did was a lot worse.
Right.
It's
Agree.
just then a leaked tape. A leaked tape. I mean, geez, you're leaking drug lube into their asshole and you're worried about a leaked tape. I think there's bigger fish to fry.
Don't stop bringing up this tape. Let it go. A totally different story. Lisa Marie Presley, who died a year ago, is coming out with a memoir. She has a lot of I guess she tapes herself talking about her life, and her daughter is finishing up a memoir that she started. It's called From Here to the Great Unknown, and she talks about Michael Jackson being a virgin before they had sex. He told me he was still a virgin, Presley wrote in the book. I think he had kissed Tatum O'Neal, and he'd had yeah, he kissed Tatum O'Neal. This is what I think about my girlfriend. I'm like, yeah, she is a kid, but I don't think she ever fucked her husband. I think the baby came in bubble wrap from a stork or something. He kissed Tatum O'Neal, and he'd had a thing with Brooke Shields, which hadn't been physically apart from a kiss. He said Madonna had tried to hook up with him, but nothing happened. I was terrified because I didn't want to make the wrong move, Presley added. Yeah. Looking back, I wonder what he was into. Presley
Yeah, I
then
think how old was she?
Right. Presley, then 26, and Jackson, then 35, got married in the Dominican Republic in 1994. The pair first met in Las Vegas when they were kids, but they didn't reconnect until the 90s when Jackson professed his love to Presley during a trip to Vegas, even though she was married. Michael said, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm completely in love with you. Aw. I want us to get married and for you to have my children. Yeah, I love children. No adults allowed, I like to say. I didn't say anything immediately, but then I said, I'm really flattered. I can't even talk. By then, I felt I was in love with him too. Looking back on their honeymoon to Disney World in Florida, Presley said, I was actually so happy. I've never been that happy again. There was an energy there, something about him that was truly remarkable, something that I've never ever seen or felt in my entire life other than with my dad. I fell in love with him because he was normal. You don't know what fucking normal is. Your dad met Priscilla Presley when she was 14. What's normal to you?
It's also going around Disney World with Michael Jackson.
Right.
That's not a normal experience.
Right.
You're not just walking in the park like some schlub, like, oh, should we go on Space Mountain today? No, you're going right to the front of the line.
Right.
Mickey Mouse is escorting you, white glove service, VIP. Yeah, I think that's maybe how she was treated when her dad Elvis was around. So maybe that actually like she's like, oh, I like that. And that maybe that was what kind of made it work between them.
Hey,
But
Michael, where do you want to go tonight? I was thinking a kids shelter. Oh, Michael, you're so
he does
relatable.
he does go to like Disney and he had that theme park, Neverland Ranch, and it's like, come on, it
Neverland
just
Ranch, where he gave kids, to be clear, wine. He did have a no adults allowed policy. He did lock doors. He had motion sensors, so he knew if you were an adult and you were getting close to this area with the kids that he would sleep with. And then he's saying, I just like talking to kids. And I'm like, just talking? That's even weirder. You ever talk to a fucking kid? It's insufferable.
Keith, I want to correct you and say it was not wine, it was Jesus
It
juice.
was Jesus juice,
And
even
what you're saying
better.
is very devilish. It's very devilish what you're saying right now. It is very devilish. You might be the devil, Keith, and I don't know if Michael Jackson would like what you're saying right
Right.
now.
I never saw in about the kids, about the molestations. She said, I never saw a goddamn thing like that. I'd be curious. I'd still try to sneak into that Neverland Ranch, see what's doing. I never saw a goddamn thing like that. I personally would have killed him if I had. Okay. But it is a little weird. You don't have to explain yourself at all. No, I'm famous, so this society's just doing this to me. That makes sense. No more questions.
Yeah, you don't have to ask anything with this guy. I mean, the whole theme park and having constant kids in and out of there. I mean, he had more recently that HBO documentary that kind of exposed everything,
Right.
which I've talked to people where they don't believe that he did anything. I mean, he
That's
was
crazy.
such a mastermind and had so much money behind him at kind of covering it up because he's worth so much
Right.
more where it's uncertain as opposed to it being a fact. And I think a lot of people just love the music so much they just don't want to believe it.
Presley previously called Marrying Jackson one of the biggest mistakes of her life in a Marie Claire magazine in 2007. So who knows what that means. Her book is transcribed from tapes of her discussing her life. Okay. Okay. I think she's a
Exciting.
virgin. Yeah. I think those kids were
Uh,
fucking virgins.
yeah, pretty sure those kids were virgins before Michael molested
Right.
them. But exciting. I can't wait to pick it up and meet up with my book club and discuss the Lisa Marie Presley book. Yeah, guys, that'll be the next time I'm on the podcast. I'm just going to be discussing her book at length.
Speaking of prison, Elon Musk is saying he's nervous that if Kamala gets elected, she'll put him in prison.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. What the fuck? First of all, it's your guy Trump that's saying he's saying he will put Kamala in prison. He'll put Colbert in prison for making fun of him. He's saying this shit. It doesn't sound like a joke. Why are you trying to twist it like Kamala's saying this shit? I'm gonna put you in prison. This never happened. If he loses, Musk told Tucker Carlson, I'm fucked. How long do you think my prison sentence is gonna be? Will I see my children? I don't know. I have no plausible deniability. I've been trashing Kamala nonstop.
I think that's crazy. Trump was trashing Hillary Clinton years ago when he first ran,
Yeah.
and he kept saying, "When I get elected, we're going to throw her in jail."
Mm-hmm.
But that never happened. It never actually happened.
And it seems it can't,
So,
right? Seems that's not
yeah,
how
just
things work.
no, it just seems like the standard bullshitting that everyone does, and everyone making it like, well, hey, if you like Elon Musk, you better vote for Trump because otherwise
Right.
he's going to jail. And it's just this very like all or nothing kind of rationality, which you see on the extremes of the political sphere.
If he goes to
You know,
jail, it's going
like
to affect your dog money. So be careful.
you
Uh,
got the globalists with all the money, you gotta watch out for them. The
right.
globalists are out there, and Elon Musk got the money, and they're coming after him, and deep state. They already tried to kill President Trump twice, so we know what's going on.
These people care so much about us that, of course, the government goes after them. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's the one who said forest fires in California were caused by Jewish space lasers. What's the end game with these Jews? We still don't know. Now she's talking about Hurricane Helene. And she tweeted out, yes, they can control the weather. It's ridiculous for anyone to lie and say it can't be done. And she's claiming that Jews, the government, they're going after red states and sending hurricanes to these people specifically, targeting even the cities itself, so that they won't be able to vote in this upcoming election. That's a
And
person.
yeah, that's well, as a Jew, I actually want to say she nailed it. She got us. We have been doing this for years. As soon as you get bar mitzvah, they kind of smarten you up to what's going on with the
Right.
space lasers and how it's decided where, who we attack. And it's crazy that we're doing that too, since the Republicans are more pro-Israel. So
Hmm.
it seems like we're kind of, going
Right.
against interest if you're a Jew who's, pro-Israel.
Well, it
But,
could. Why wouldn't you focus the lasers on Hamas?
I know it's surprising you wouldn't go after your Hamas or this whole war with Lebanon. You figure that's where the Jewish space lasers would focus, but instead we're looking at the
Burning down
southeast.
trees.
Yeah, because there's no Jews in Florida. I've never
Right.
seen a Jew in Florida, especially Miami or
Seriously, what do you guys get out of burning down a forest? What do you get?
I mean, besides the walls, I mean, obviously it's
A couple
hilarious.
laughs.
You get, oh my God, dude. We talk about it at Temple. We just like high five and we're like, oh, did you see that?
It's
Oh
just
my
fun to
God.
know you
What
can.
right. Yeah.
Right.
And it's a mitzvah. We're gonna help a lot of businesses who wanted to get that land anyway.
Mhm.
That's where the money is. So we're all about the money. We just see that money in the bank account and we get
Right.
a rock hard boners just looking at it. So, that's how we afford all these trips to Israel. That's how Birthright is funded.
Jesus
This is
Christ.
all true. You can see it on I have a blog. Just go to Dave P Comedy, sign up for my email list, and you'll get the truth.
Right.
You guys get really what's going on from a Jew.
Are people nervous you're telling tales out of school?
I mean, they'll be nervous when this leaks, but I don't care. My body's trying to kill me, so why
Right.
not have a few others?
Gotcha. Here's a, you know what? Let's leave on a fun story. We did have
Sure.
a lot of deep stuff. A man in Austria amputated his own penis with an axe after ingesting a heavy dose of psychedelic mushrooms.
Ah, that's horrible.
I'm picturing
That's
he's cutting up
horrible.
all the mushrooms. He looks down and he's like, "Oh fuck, another mushroom! Oh shit, no, that's my
You know what I,
penis."
you know what I hate about these stories is there's so many other like 99.9% of the mushroom situations are not at that level bad. And
I
like
did
I've
mushrooms. I wasn't even close, but again, set and setting, right?
exactly, I did mushrooms. I went to the Sphere in Las Vegas. I highly recommend that experience. It's the
Right.
opposite of this experience. And
Right.
it's so now what went on in this person's mind that made them do that? I don't know. And it's not helping mushrooms in terms of legalization or progressing as like a country into allowing this drug to be like regulated and sold the way like cannabis is in New York.
Right.
So I see these stories and I almost wonder, is this propaganda kind of what we were seeing against weed years ago, where, this it has to get traction because it's such a crazy, crazy
Right.
story, but it just sounds like someone who's really dumb and, they sound like a dickless loser, if I have to say it.
This guy,
So
this thing, this guy's from Austria. I, I he votes, and his voting is worth the same amount as his neighbor's voting. 1 point. That this guy has opinions. Like after you find out he cut his own dick off on mushrooms, and then he's like, "Okay, but seriously, our version of Trump has a point." It's like, no, know that you don't get an opinion on anything because something in your head told you to chop off your dick, and you weren't happy about it because you went to the hospital. They were able to reattach it, kind of. I'll
ooh,
explain. Yeah. 37 years old, by the way. Young dude.
my
Uh,
age.
he was reportedly
You don't
suffering.
have to explain it. You don't have to explain
Right.
it.
The 37-year-old man reportedly suffered from depression and alcohol abuse at the time of a psychotic break. Yeah, you can't mix the two. You'll be chopping off penis one at a time.
I
Uh,
agree. I've always advised do not drink and shroom.
he was alone at his vacation home at the time. Nice life. Had eaten 4 to 5 individual dried mushrooms, including a brief psychotic episode in which he used an axe to chop his penis into multiple pieces. Later, he
Okay.
was spotted by a townsperson after wandering from his house to seek help. He arrived at the nearest hospital in critical condition, you think, about 5 hours after the horrific incident. 5 hours. So when you cut off your dick, it becomes real. And then do you go, let me just rub my eyes? Maybe I'm making all this up. You know what I
He
mean?
was
And it's
really
like,
he was he was really high. He was really high, but at the same end, it's just like the fact that he was doing other things like alcohol and that sort of stuff. The headline doesn't say alcohol, it says
Right,
mushrooms.
right,
So what I'm wondering is why doesn't the headline say alcohol mixed with mushrooms, mixed with, why? Because alcohol is regulated and sold, and we can't
right.
think that alcohol is bad. But alcohol, I think, is way worse for you than mushrooms. This guy just did
Yes.
mushrooms. I don't think he's chopping his dick off.
Drink responsibly. They mean don't cut off your penis.
That should be the next Bud Light campaign.
Right.
They're doing the whole, they have the heat with the trans community. Here's how you get
Mhm.
it back.
Right.
You say, listen, listen, guys, we know you like to drink and get high and chop your dick off like that guy. But you know what? Bud Light is against that. We want you to drink
In the
responsibly.
commercial, the group partying just like points and laughs at each other. You still got your dick? I still got my dick. You still got your dick? I drink responsibly.
Bunch of guys just
Yeah.
high-fiving
Love having my
like
dick because we're adults and we know how to treat this poison.
we
Uh,
have our dicks.
the man had attempted to tie a piece of cloth around his penis to block blood flow and place the rest
Oh,
of the organ in a jar filled with snow.
oh my God.
Doctors had to carefully clean the severed organ, which had
Ah.
been contaminated by dirt and snow, and managed to repair the tip and about 2 inches of the shaft. Other pieces were too damaged to reattach. It's got to look like Frankenstein too. Those 2 inches, right?
Yeah, there's no way it looks good, but like John Bobbitt did porn after he had that. So I don't know. I've never seeked it out. It's not something I even just hearing this, I'm like ready to throw up. I mean,
Right.
it's like I like how you were like, we're gonna end it on like a positive note. Like you're like, oh, let me talk about this
a
guy taking,
fun, a fun story. I said.
a fun story. Yeah. I almost rather hear about Diddy's crimes than hear about this. Like at least Diddy, I'm like, all right, he's trying to fuck. Like
You're
this,
like
I can rationalize the behavior somewhat. This I can't even rationalize. I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
you're like, can we get back to shitting out my side?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's just like even if you don't have even if you're a woman, just let's say it's a toe. Have you ever been like, oh, I'm so high, I better cut off like a piece of my body? No, no, like fucking nobody does that. You're fucking out of your mind if you
Uh,
do that.
Immediately following surgery, the man was placed under the care of psychiatric professionals. I wonder what the book tells you to say. As he continued to suffer from bouts of psychosis for about a week to follow. About a week to follow. On the mend, he later continued recovery in the urology department. You keep stretching it a little bit at a time. What do you do? Within a few months of surgery, he had regained erectile and urinary functions. That's pretty amazing. But still, you start dating. You got to warn the woman ahead of time. You got to make up a story, right? You don't say you did that. Yeah, I cut it up, but I can be trusted when big things happen in our life. You can be with me. That was the
I
old me. I made a mistake. You've never
it's
made a
just
mistake.
I don't think sex is this guy's priority anymore. I think it's just like it's like getting his like himself together, and he doesn't sound like a person that any woman would be able to stand being around for more than a few minutes
Right.
because once you hear or see what has gone on with him, I think it's pretty obvious that there's a big red flag and it's right above his balls.
Picture he has kids, and it's like, I'm gonna go to a party. Like, no mushrooms, no mushrooms, no alcohol.
No, you know what?
Let
That's
me
the
see. Every time you
story.
come home from a party, he's like, let me see it. You better have it.
That's the story you reference if you're a parent and you have kids and you don't want them doing drugs. You go, well, did you hear about so and so in Austria? He did drugs and he chopped his wiener off. Do
Yeah,
you want to be like that guy? Well, you better not do drugs. If I heard that when I was a kid, I'd think twice about
right.
doing drugs. I'd be like, all right, yeah, like, straight edge, let's go.
Yeah, I quit drinking, but I do weed, edibles. I do other drugs. It's easy to be sober when you do drugs.
I
But
agree. California sober. That's the way to
right.
be. California sober.
But I do have siblings that think it's laughable when I say weed is safer than alcohol. And I can picture one or two seeing this headline and being like, yeah, I don't know why you fuck with mushrooms sometimes because it's making people cut off dicks.
Yeah, because that's where what it reminds me is like when Prohibition was around weed and they put out propaganda that said weed's gonna make you insane, it's gonna make you crazy, the ridiculous things they'd say, especially before the 1950s. And I feel like the same propaganda is happening with mushrooms right now. And I gotta say, you talked about depression earlier in this podcast.
Hmm.
Mushrooms helped me a lot during
Okay.
the pandemic. I was isolated. I had been on a kidney transplant list. I couldn't be around people and socialize. And doing microdosing mushrooms really got me through a very difficult time in my life. And I just start with a small amount. Don't mix it with alcohol, and don't chop your dick off.
That's right. The special, three kidneys, no colon. Are you gonna make it a special, your show? Or is there gonna be a
Of
way? I've seen
course.
clips, of course, but I want to see the whole thing.
No, I absolutely want to release it at some point in the future. I think what's happening right now is I'm in the mindset like, let me tour with it. I'm going back to the Fringe Festival in 2025 with it. I'm running again in New York. So I'll let you know about the next New York City show
Okay.
and get you through to that. And I want people to come out and see it and see the show. And I want you to see the show. And look, at some point in the future, it'll be released. But right now, the only way to see it is come see it live. Come
All right.
see one of my shows, and you can see my tour dates at Dave P Comedy on Instagram and or sign up for my email list there.
You mentioned how now you're feeling good, you're eating better, you're exercising, you're doing yoga, and I did see a clip where you mentioned yoga to the point where you're like, I think I can suck my own dick. Were you ever successful?
And I was never successful in sucking my own dick,
Is that
but I'll
God's
talk.
is that God's greatest joke? Like that we can get like so fucking close.
I think it's doable. Ron Jeremy, the porn star, did it. There have been people who have achieved this, but I think it takes a certain kind of person, a certain type of body type. And you know what? I still want to eat bread. I'm not going to
Mhm.
drop to myself to like such a tiny weight just to do that. Plus, I'm able to successfully date and get women. So I have people who can assist me with that. But that bit came out of the pandemic when I couldn't date and I couldn't do anything. And I'm like, I gotta try it.
Well, sex takes up enough of my time as it is. I don't think I want to be able to suck my own dick. I got to work sometimes, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
In fact, I added a rib just so I can get more work done.
Yeah, that used to be a thing. Marilyn Manson, they said he like got rid of a rib
Right.
so he could like blow himself. That was like the thing in the early 2000s. And yeah, I don't know if there's any truth to that, but what I will say is it was never achieved by me, but man, if I could do it, you guys, this tour would be canceled.
Right, right. You wouldn't be here.
I'd be home all day. I'd be home all day. My lips would be
Um,
super chapped.
so see Dave live if you get the chance. What else should the audience know?
I mean, this is chronicling major life issues that I had, major health issues. If you've had health issues like this, or you know someone who's had health issues like this, it is extremely relatable. When I was doing the show in Edinburgh, I had a lot of people from NHS, healthcare workers
Hmm.
come through. So if you're in that space, this is a show that's right up your alley. You get to hear it from the patient's perspective. You get to laugh. It's a funny show. Yeah, so it's to me, it's the show's getting better and better with every performance. I've recently added visuals to it so you can see pictures of myself when I was on dialysis and see what that looks like and see me then and also see me now. And I think it's such a positive thing to see, especially if you're going through a health issue right now. Just to see that there's potentially good at the end of the madness that you can eventually, if you're waiting for a kidney or you are dealing with whatever your major health issue is, that you will get better at some point. Because when you see me unhealthy and then you see me present day, you see, wow, like life's a journey, not a destination.
Oh, that's good. I'll write that down. When you have the do the dialysis, you mentioned did you mention like discharge or like waste would come out your neck?
Well, it's like blood is clean. So the kidneys filter the blood. When the kidneys don't work, now this dialysis machine filters the blood for your
Okay.
kidneys. So the dialysis catheter is like kind of the thing that's connecting the dialysis machine to your body. And that would get infected and it would have issues and you couldn't get it wet. And it was like a nightmare to kind of have. I still have the scars from it on my chest. If I don't know if you could see it, I could try to show
Please.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
curious.
So
Oh, I see.
I think it's this side. Let me put it, I'll put it right up to the camera. Can you see
Okay.
that?
Yeah. It looks like though. It doesn't
I've been
scare me.
I've been putting like a little scar treatment on it, trying to clear it up. But yeah, I think there's another podcast that got a really good shot of it,
All right.
and I'll put a clip up either of this or that, and you guys
Email me
or
email me a picture or two of
yes, I'll
your
email
of
you a
your
picture.
journeys.
Oh, that's a good idea. I'll email you a picture. I like that.
Yeah. Very nice meeting you, Dave. Thanks for your candidness. And yes, I hope people do reach out if they're going through something. You're an interesting person to talk to. Thanks again for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Keith. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.